Welcome everybody to our session on recruitment. It's my pleasure to welcome René Lowers. My name is Carlos Lee. I'm the Director General of EPIC. EPIC is the world's largest photonics industry association. We do a lot of things for our members. All of these activities that we do for our members are related to competitiveness of the companies. The reason that I take so much pleasure at personally chairing this session is because I am so convinced of the importance of recruitment skills and talents. It's not just that I'm convinced of it, it's a fact. It's a fact that the companies run around the teams, that the importance of the people is crucial. And that's it. It's one of the key elements of the competitiveness of the companies. Most of our members are world leaders in the technology that they develop. So you can have a fantastic technology, you can have the money to build a factory, to produce, but you need the people to drive all of that. So that's why I take this very seriously and I take care of that of myself. The topic of recruitment, training, and skilling is not a new topic. Let me just quickly share with you here the screen. I want to share with you the job that we have here, Jobs in Photonics. EPIC has invested in developing jobsinphotonics.com, which is the largest employment website for photonics. You can just type by keywords. You can put here a city, search for the jobs. You can actually even download the whole spreadsheet. There are, I believe, 1,200 jobs currently available. This is permanently maintained. And as you can see, we have several partners, HR partners, based on different levels, different countries, different technologies. You can see them over here: Vision, Markets, Humo, Orion, TMC, EO, Insight, and Profound. Thank you for being part of our network. But today, it's my pleasure to welcome René from Orion Engineering. René, maybe I think you have prepared some slides. You can put up that cover slide that we've, Suzette, you put the cover slide would be great. Maybe you can start a little bit by introducing yourself, please. And also the company and the topic I thought obviously was appropriate. It's obviously on recruiting, but what is special now? Very clearly, it is the situation with the COVID. You know, what is different? How has the market evolved? And people like you, René, you've got you day and night. That's what you deal with: people, recruitment, hiring. You know the market better than any of our members. You know, our members they hire one person a year, 10 people a year, 20. But you will tell us how much you are recruiting, and you have such a vast experience that I'm extremely grateful that you will share that with our members, which is also live streamed on YouTube. So I'll just give it to you, René. A few words about you, the company. Go through the slides, and then if people have questions, but otherwise we'll have a little discussion afterwards. The floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you, Carlos, and thank everybody. Just to share some slides. Can you give me the screen, Carlos?
Suzette, how do we give this? You have to just click on share screen.
Yeah, I got it. So let me share some slides with you. So my name is René Lowers, as a director of Orion Engineering. We are a project sourcing agency for engineers, technical talent, for technical assignments. And these professionals have a solid technical background, and they have different options to strengthen teams. And we will fill staffing needs, temporary assignments, and we will recruit the employees for that. So we do over 350 to 400 hires a year. And this is starting from, say, bachelor level engineering to PhD level and everything in between. And of course, this is what we do for different branches within the technical field, which I will explain a little bit later on. So for us, and if we look at the market now, I think we all experienced since early last year the crisis, and I will not dive in too much into that. I think we have enough we have enough information about the whole COVID crisis, but it didn't make any of the jobs easier. And with everything that is happening in technical development, and especially for us in the photonics field, the recruitment, the hiring, and retaining of the technical talent is a big challenge for most companies. And it was already a big challenge, but the challenge became even bigger due to the crisis. So this is a little bit of an introduction about Orion. I think we have it. We are one of the staffing agencies for technical talent in the Benelux. So we operate mainly in the Netherlands and Belgium, but we are looking to expand, and this is something we always look into. Then I will tell you something about recruitment in times of COVID, of course, which is the subject of today, finding and keeping the talent and hiring staff online. So this is a little bit information about our company. Founded in 1991. We have 5 offices in the Benelux. I think our mission is clear, and for us, we work a lot with international companies and international talent. So the 400 engineers we hire, we will find them from all over the world and hire them at Orion and put them to work at one of our clients. Our focus is mainly Europe and Asia, but it depends. So if you look for recruitment in times of COVID, it's a very interesting time because we are in a global crisis, as they say, but the business and this is for Photonics the same, is picking up, and we see a lot of our clients want to hire a lot of engineers. They have a lot of projects ongoing. Machines are being built and sold. Business is not bad. It's even better than it was in most cases than last year. So it's pretty strange to see that we are in the biggest financial crisis ever. But the price of the houses are sky high. Stocks are sky high, and business is picking up everywhere. So it's interesting to see how this will develop later on this year and next year. But outlook is positive, especially for our field of expertise, I feel. So how do you hire the best of the best in photonics? Well, there's not a clear answer I can give you. There are multiple. So engineers usually want to be challenged on a technical level. So it's important to keep that in mind when you try to look for new employees. It's good to try to figure out on which field they will be challenged in. So if you don't have something that you can offer for the right candidate, maybe it's good to think of something you can create as an employer. To attract the best of the best, you will need to figure something out that is different than the way you used to attract talent. Because if you do it always on the same way, you will always get the same kind of employee. So if you want a better employee than your average employee, you will have to have a better procedure by hiring these people. And that is mainly just thinking about it. What do we really offer? Do we mean what we say? Do we always promise what we, or do we deliver what we promise? And do we offer these guys more than just a job? And here you have a job, and see you in 10 years on your first jubileum. You know, for us, we see a lot of companies who don't really think about that. So when somebody is hired, it's done, and on to the next one. But of course, there's something way more to do as an employer than only give somebody a contract. So it's important that as an employer, you can provide challenges, growth, and not only on a technical level, but also on a personal level. Because we see that the highly skilled engineers are always looking to develop themselves. And it's not only on a technical level, but also on a personal level. And usually the good engineers have a really good technical level, but maybe on a personal level, they can develop themselves. In communication skills, of presentation skills, you can figure out a million ways to develop. But this is something that is really important as an employer. If you want to attract good technical talent, to keep this in mind. So what are the do's and don'ts for recruiting these high-level candidates? Well, my first advice would be make sure you give these candidates the personal attention that they deserve. So when you start your search for new technical employees. And maybe you put some vacancies on your website and you get some response. It's important that, in the way you pick up this response. So do you respond 3 days later with a standard email? Or do you respond within 24 hours with a personal call? And that's a really big difference. And we see that a lot of companies don't take the effort for the personal touch. And if you think about it, to do it this way will be way more efficient because it will consume approximately the same amount of time, but it will deliver a very different result if you do it constantly with all the candidates. So if you do it 1 week and then 6 months do it in the old way, it will not work. So you have to do it consistently, but then you will see a much more efficient way of hiring talent. So that's really important. Also is important that you have some preparation for the candidate, because usually we see that the candidate goes to the interview with the client, and the client welcomes the candidate, sits them down, take the resume out of their bag because the secretary just printed it for them, and just start reading the resume and maybe ask some questions. But this is of course the wrong approach for the best of the best. Maybe for a regular employee it can be this way, but to hire the best of the best, you should really invest in the preparation. So make sure that you know the candidate that's coming to meet you. Study their resume, prepare some questions, maybe check a reference from the previous employer. You know, there are many ways to prepare these meetings, but some preparation is important, and usually more than 3 minutes preparation we don't see. So as an employer myself, I can say that it really works to invest in the people. And just a few more minutes, maybe half an hour before every meeting, before every interview is a difference. If you do maybe 50 interviews a year, I guarantee you a different result by the end of that year. Also, we see that most engineers will be challenged by the technical difficulties, challenges in their workspace. So usually it's not about money. It's not about benefits. It's not about the company car. Sure, they like the dinners and the parties with the company and the employees. But most of all, they would like a challenging technical job in which they can grow. So as an employer, I think it's really important to think about what can I offer these guys now, and what can I offer them or girls in 3 years or in 5 years or in 10 years. Because the best of the best in engineering, in photonics, are people that are loyal. So they will choose you as an employer and they will stick with you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. They will not leave in 3 years, usually, of course. So if you think about it and you know that these people will stay with you for at least 10 years, do you want them in the same position in 10 years from now? Do you want them to be one of your key stakeholders in the company? What is your plan with this employee? And of course, you cannot have a plan like this for all your employees if you maybe have 1,000 employees, but we talk about the best of the best. So maybe your best 5%, this is how you should cover these people to make sure that within 10 years, they are still with you, they are happy, and they had maybe 2 or 3 or 4 different positions within the company, so that they know a lot and they are more important, and these people will be your stakeholders for the future. Something to keep in mind. If we look at the third, how does the recruitment process evolve under the influence of COVID? It's pretty interesting. Well, the first thing we see, of course, is a lot of meetings being done online. So the personal meetings are pretty much over with. Everything is done online. It has some benefits. It has some things that are not so good, because of course, when you deal with people, you want to look them in the eyes. You want to meet them in front of you. You want to see them not only in a little screen, but from top to bottom. And you want to shake their hands. You want to look them in the eyes. And you want to really connect with somebody. If you think that this person could be important for your company for the next 10 years. So how can you hire these people just from a little screen and 1 hour of talking? It's pretty difficult. So we see that a lot of companies have much difficulty finding these people to interview, but after that hiring them, because maybe you have a good feeling with the candidate, but does the candidate has a good feeling with the company and you as an employer, because they only met you via the website, or maybe a vacancy online, or maybe via the network or other engineers. And after maybe 50, 60 minutes of meeting via Zoom, how can they decide to put their career on hold for you and come work for you for the next 10 years? It's pretty difficult. So for us, we always say, try to meet face to face. If it's possible, just make sure you do it. And you can do maybe a fraction of the procedure online, but there has to be some face-to-face meeting somewhere in the process. Maybe the end, or somewhere has to be a meeting. And if it's not possible on the office, then have a walk in the park or do something, but try to meet each other face-to-face. And if that means that you will have to drive half a day, I advise you to do it, because at the end, it's all worth it. Because if you hire strictly online, and we talk about the best of the best, not the most general profiles, just the really good ones, it's always worth to visit these people face to face in the long run. So it's an investment. But of course, it's in Photonics, we are here for the long run, and we're just getting started. So these investments you should also make in your employees. Again, not in every employee, but in the best employees. Also, hiring people via online meetings and you never met them is pretty risky, because somebody can have a mask on for 50 minutes via Zoom. It's pretty easy, and pretend to have all the answers you want to hear as an employer, but then a month later this person will come in your company, and it's way different. And we notice that happens a lot. When you are face to face with somebody, it's really much more difficult to put on that mask, so to speak, because if you are a trained interviewer, and most of the employees in Photonics are, then you will see through the mask. And online that's much more difficult. And even for us we all do maybe 20, 30 interviews a month, standard, and it's still difficult to figure out if somebody is good enough just by online meetings. So if it's not possible to meet face to face, try to find a different way than online meeting, just to talk with this person. And this could be on multiple ways, but only online is really risky, difficult, and we would advise strongly not to do it like that. Also, we have a little slide prepared for finding and keeping talent, because recruiting these technical talents is difficult, but keeping them is maybe even just as difficult. So if you look at finding technical talent, there's a lot of ways you can find technical talent. So the right engineers you can find via vacancies you put on your website, via fairs, job fairs, seminars, via the network of the company, via different job sites, via LinkedIn, other social media channels, and many more. Just to be clear, if we talk about social media, for us, there's only one that's applicable, and that's LinkedIn. So all the other social media channels we do not use. Maybe we used Facebook sometime, but we tried everything, and for us, it's clear that LinkedIn is a really useful tool to find employees. But all the other, like Instagram and Twitter and all these social media channels, it's a way to find employees. But if you're trying to find the best engineers in photonics, that's not the way. So LinkedIn, yes. All the other social media, we would advise you to use to redirect those efforts into other recruitment ways. I think it's proven that it doesn't work, and if it works, you are lucky, and probably you would be more efficient if you used these efforts in another way. So you can hire maybe one guy via Instagram, but if these efforts were directed via LinkedIn, you could hire maybe two. So that's what I mean. So that is about finding talent. There's a lot of ways. There's not only one way, and I think it's depending on your region and your company and where you're located and everything else, what is the best way. But I think a mix of all these things is always the best, for sure. And then, of course, you have to keep these talents. So how do you keep them? So there are several ways to keep your talented employees. Of course, again, personal attention. So if you're an employee that is not really interested in the personal lives of your employees, which is fine, there should be some personal aspect in your retention given as an employer. So whatever it is, you can write a little personal card on a birthday, or you can bring a gift to their home on Christmas. I don't know, you figure it out, but there's a lot of small, easy ways, cheap ways, if that's an issue, maybe the budget, to give your employees personal attention, which they can appreciate and value and respect. So because they will know if it's something that you do because you feel that you should, or they know that it's something that you really mean and comes from your heart, sort of set. So if it's that last part, that's the best, of course, because again, they will notice if you don't mean it from your personal motivation. So I think that's a really important thing. Another important thing to keep technical talent within your company is a way to provide them with some kind of personal development. So like I said, they are always looking for the newest technical challenges, and most of these engineers will be with some technical group or some commissions, or they will be reading all the new technical articles that comes out. Usually they have a pretty good feel for what's new and what's going on in the market in the global sense. So if you know that this is going on and you can offer them a personalized education course, seminar, however you want to call it, so they can develop a specific technical skill that they have, that's a really good way of keeping people motivated and to keep them within your company. So provide them with a traineeship, give them a course, send them to a seminar. But if you have the need clear of the employee, make sure that you act on the need. So somebody is a good mechanical designer and they want to develop maybe some software design skills, give them something in which they can develop that skill. Doesn't have to be a lot of money, doesn't have to be a lot of time. But in our experience, the investment is always worth it. And somebody can leave after 1 month, but the other 10 guys will stay another 10 years. So that's why the investment is usually worth it. Another small thing that is easy to use to keep talent is just to make it fun. If you have a success with the company, go celebrate, have a dinner, have some drinks, go bowling, do some team building stuff together. There's a lot of things you can do. Even now with COVID, you know, you can go with large groups of people, but still there are ways to do something to keep everybody involved within the company. For example, we have seen that a lot of companies do maybe bingo sessions online or pop quiz sessions online. I think it's not new, it's not really exciting, but if you don't do anything, you will be left behind. It's just how it works. So make sure you set something up with your marketing department, or figure out something that you can do so that your employees will sit at home behind a laptop, maybe the family in the background, and just have a little bit of fun. I think fun is something that is usually often forgotten within the job, which is logical, but something to keep in mind. But again, more knowledge, more personal growth. I think that's a really big thing within keeping your talent in-house. Just look at their needs and act on those needs. So personal growth, more knowledge, technical knowledge is what these people usually want. So make sure you have a way to provide them this on a structural level. So maybe every year or every 6 months, you can provide something for the best engineers. Last part, to keep technical talent, make sure that your compensation is in line with the market. So I told you earlier, money is never the most important thing for the engineer, but it is important. So make sure that your compensation is in line with the market, or maybe slightly ahead, depending on which company you are and what your ambitions are and what you want to do with the people you want to hire. But it should be in line, because we all know if a good engineer, maybe they have 10, 20 options. So why would they choose for you? If you don't have the fun work package, and you don't have the personal development package, and you don't have the personal attention, and you don't pay the right amount of salary, it's impossible. You know, so somewhere in these points, you don't have to be 100% on all points, but 80% of these points you have to be 100% in, and that's the way to find and keep the best engineers. Of course, we have a lot of online hiring. Told you before. So how do you do it? Like I said, social media channels are not the best way to attract engineers. So other than LinkedIn, again, we advise you to redirect these efforts in other ways. So interviews via Zoom or Skype or whatever can make the recruitment process really easy and personal, a personality of the person. So for you to, if you want to know if the person you are meeting online has the right personality for your company, for the position you want to fill, you will have to be prepared. So the preparation within online meetings gets much more important than the live meetings. I think people who experienced it can confirm. If you have a live meeting and you can prepare in 5 minutes, by just reading the resume, or you do it in the online version, there's a big difference, because personality will come within your boundaries when somebody is live in front of you. And via screen, personality doesn't really come off. Sometimes it does, but most of the times it doesn't. And especially with engineers, because communication skills are probably not their best quality. So for you to get all the information you want out of this maybe not so communicative engineer, you should prepare the questions you want to ask so that this person can give you all the details you want to know. Because of course the candidate should be 80% of 80% of the time, the candidate should be talking, of course. And usually we see it the other way around. So the client, the employee is talking. This is what we do. We are a great company. We are the best. We offer a lot of things. It's a great team. Blah 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 blah. So what do you think? And then the engineer's like, yeah, okay, sounds good. I don't really know. So again, within preparation, especially for the online meetings, it becomes more and more and more important. Also, it's a sign of professionality, maybe respect to the candidate. If you're talking for the best of the engineers, Photonics, it's a sign of respect, a sign of, okay, I really want you to work for my company, and I will show you this by everything I did in front of this meeting. And I feel that for engineers, that's a really important thing to see, hear, and also feel. There's a lot of emotion by switching jobs, right? So I think it's really important to keep that in mind, and yeah, like I said, again, on a personal level, get a personal touch with these candidates. So this is a little bit about recruiting and keeping technical talent in times of COVID. Here's a little bit of contact information. Maybe Carlos can share it later. And that's my presentation.
Perfect. Thank you very much, René. And maybe you can stop sharing the screen and we can have a few discussions. So first of all, you got me to think a lot. I recognize some of the mistakes, typical mistakes that you mentioned. I've done them myself. You know, we hired 5 people last year. So you got me to think. You know, I've got a whole page of notes over here, actually 2 pages of notes. So you got me to think.
You should have called me earlier.
Yes. Indeed, yeah, sweet. And we did hire an agency. We have several partners. So first, the best of the best. How do I manage this pitch internally when we say that everybody is equal, we are all equally important, we all contribute to the organization? How do you manage the discussion that we just had, you know, about some of them being the best?
Well, I think if you look at, no, I think maybe all companies, there's no company in the world where everybody's equal. You know, it's impossible, because somebody is always performing better than somebody else. Somebody is always the manager or the boss or the CEO of the company. So it's ridiculous to think that everybody's on the same level. Of course, there can be a lot of people on the same level, and maybe 5% is below or above that level. But not everybody's on the same level. And it doesn't matter if you have 10 employees of 1,000, not everybody's on the same level. So just to recognize that first, I think it's a really important step. And then to figure out, okay, which people are the best. And I think in a technical field, it's pretty easy to qualify these people, right? We all know, you know, if you ask any employer, just name your best 5 guys, they will give you 5 names, right? So not everybody's equal, you know. It's not like that.
As management, indeed, we know that, and we have these kind of discussions. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I agree on that.
And you should have these discussions, because also people change, you know. Maybe your best guy this year is not your best guy next year. And maybe an average guy this year can be your best guy next year. So yeah, that's why it's important to keep talking with all your employees and see what's going on in the workspace and in their heads.
Yeah, no, it's important at management level to have this kind of open discussion.
Yeah.
So you said we cannot hire a person 100% online, and it doesn't work. And if it has happened, probably there was just no choice to meet. But also one important aspect, as you mentioned, is that the employee himself, he needs to see the company, maybe the building or the facility. Does he want to be working there? Yeah. What I found interesting is how you presented this recruiting part as a sales process, in the sense like, listen, you have to be well prepared. You have to take this seriously, you know. And I talk it like a sales process. So that's what I noted here.
That's true.
And that it was worth to invest into that process, because if you want the best people to stay and to hire the best, one thing that you didn't mention, but either I mentioned or you expanded is the cost of replacement. Is if we do not take this seriously, then I guess you lose. If you don't have the right person, if he leaves, you have to hire somebody else. The cost of that. You want to share some thoughts a bit more, because that is something that I have. What is the cost of not having the right person or having a good person leave?
Yeah, it depends, of course, on a lot of things, but it always costs money, because when you have to replace people, it not only takes time and money, it also does something with the emotion within the team. So there's a team and there's somebody leaving, and maybe the whole team loves this person, or maybe the whole team hates this person. It doesn't really matter, because it does something in the emotional sense with the team. And I think employees forget this really fast and just try to replace somebody as fast as possible without really explaining or talking to the team why and how. And I feel that there's also room there to just have the conversation, like 5 minutes. Listen, this is the situation, this is what's happening, and this is why this person is leaving. And this is what we are doing to replace them and give you a new colleague, or strengthen the team again. So yeah, of course, when you have to replace people every 6 months for the same position, you are doing such an not efficient job in your job. Yeah, I think that's clear. Yeah.
I think indeed it has a huge emotional impact on the team. It has a performance impact. And for those who look at it from the financial side, the way that I look at it is that very often the revenue per employee in our Epic members companies, Epic members are typically small, medium-sized companies, and the average revenue per employee is 200,000 euros. So you take the total revenue of the company, divide by the number of employees, is 200,000. And somehow I like to believe it one way or another, you can turn this how you want, but if you don't have one employee less, you're having 200,000 revenue less, one way or another. If you're taking 6 months to hire somebody, you have lost 100,000 euros in revenue. And I know that some people don't look at it this way. I have the same when I drive the car about the insurance. So when I drive 1 kilometer, I think that is the cost per kilometer. It's the insurance and the whole thing. And then some people don't count that. Well, the car is paid anyway. You have to pay for the insurance. Well, somehow you have to account for that. And here I would do the same thing. It's like, well, no, it doesn't. We didn't lose 100,000 euros because we didn't hire the person for 6 months as well. Maybe it's kind of the same discussion, but that's the way that I like to look at it. If you don't have somebody for 6 months, you have somehow, somewhere, you have lost 100K revenue.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Sure, it's a missed opportunity.
It is. So one of the things that you have, one of the biggest advantages is I see of hiring a professional agency like yourself and Orion is of course on the quality. I was impressed, 400 hires per year. That's a lot of experience in the organization.
Sure.
I think one of the advantages for our members, which are indeed most Epic members, small, young, dynamic, high-growing companies, is on the outsourcing part. So you can more easily find or buy money than buy time. So I think that the outsourcing is one benefit. Are there any other benefits apart of hiring you versus the better quality and the time? Are there other benefits of working with you?
I think you have some guarantees, because if you do it yourself and you mess it up and you hire the wrong person or the wrong persons and you have to replace them in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you just explained the cost of that. So when we do this and it turns out after maybe 2, 3 months that the guy we sent wasn't the right person on the right place, then there's no problem for the employee, for our client, because we can send another guy the day after. So I think you have a little bit of more or guaranteed, and it's like you said, if a technical company is busy with photonics, they are not busy with recruiting and HR and all these things. So depends on the company, but if you are a company who needs employees and wants to hire every month and every quarter and grow in engineers, you really should look into a company to assist you, because of all the reasons Carlos said and I just mentioned. It's our expertise, and the expertise of our clients is the technical part, and we are the HR recruiting experts. So stay with your expertise, right?
Absolutely. I have the question here. I'm just thinking how to put it. I think that this hiring world has changed a lot indeed. I guess from putting an advertisement in the magazine to then putting just putting an ad. We're looking for that, to the concept of employer branding, employer reputation. How have you seen the expectations on both sides, on the employer and on the employee? I don't know, René, how long have you been in this business?
12 years.
Have you, let's then just take that last decade, have you seen an evolution of the expectations on both sides on the recruitment?
Yeah, I see, especially on the candidate side, different expectations. So let's say 10 years ago, candidates were a little bit, how do I put this? A little bit, well, they felt they were, they felt that they have to act humble, right? So they came in for the interview and they were yes sir, no sir, and nowadays the candidates come in and they are like, okay, so you want to hire me? What do you have for me? And a decade ago it was, oh please sir, I'm so grateful if you want to hire me. And now it's like, oh, you want to hire me? Okay, show me what you got. Like, I have options, so why should I go for you? So it's more, the market has turned from an employee driven market to a candidate driven market. So the candidate has the power now.
It's funny how you say that, because I have 3 children. Actually, maybe you see them in the background. The little ones, the twins, are 17, and so now they have to choose a career and then to look for a job and things like that. And when I talk to them, and they obviously, they're pure teenagers, they haven't thought about this whole thing, but it's very funny how in their attitude they really believe indeed, and maybe they're correct, they will just choose the job. I'm going to study that, I'm going to do that. I say, well, listen, you have to prepare yourself and have the skills, because it's, in the end, it's the employer who chooses. And it's very funny that spontaneously in their mind they pick where to work.
Yeah, and that's a change from the last decade. And I think social media has a big part in it now. I think all these young people, who are now entering the workplace, or they grew up with all these things 10 years ago. And we enter the workplace before all these things came. So yeah, you see a little bit of a shifting in that sense, that the candidates feel that they have the power. They can have a list of demands, actually, to say, and yeah, I have people who come on interviews. They say, listen, after 5:30 I will not work. It's my time. And 10 years ago that was unimaginable. That would never happen.
I think that what maybe, and sorry, now it's a speculation, and I'm just blah blah blah, blah blah. I think that what maybe has changed, and maybe you can correct me or think, and if I'm wrong, you just tell me that I'm wrong, but is that as the employee, I can see many job options. 20 years ago was just the newspaper, then 10 years ago a little bit the internet, but now as the employee, I feel that I have so many options I get to choose. And I guess that maybe what the employee does not see is that on the employer side, I'm getting a lot of input as well, but this is not visible to the employee. He just sees like, well, so many options I get to pick, not realizing that for every job that he applies for, there are probably a lot of applicants. How many applicants would you say you get for an open position?
On average, I would say around 10.
Okay, no, sorry. I thought you would get, but then you scout, or I would expect you to get many more people who apply when you put a job opening out there.
Yeah, depends a little bit on what kind of job, but I think like around 10 serious candidates is around the number.
Yeah, so that gives him a 10% chance. Yeah.
exactly. And the 10% chance they have is, in their mind, is 90%. So they have things they want to add, and it's not only in the photonics or in the technical field. I think it's for a lot of fields nowadays. It's just a different, the people in their 20s now are different people than 10 years ago when the other people were in the 20s. So yeah, it's like they feel like they should. They have a sense of entitlement. So a lot of these people feel that they should get something because they are here, not because they have the right attitude, the right skills, or they have done something in which they deserved it. They just want it because they want it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit the generational gap. Maybe I'm talking like an old guy. I'm not so old, but maybe you understand what I mean.
Absolutely. Indeed, we feel old, but as I said, I've got those teenagers, so it helps me also put that a bit in perspective.
Yeah.
Before we started the discussion, I had written over here, the most common mistakes, but I'm gonna skip that one because you have already covered that a lot. I have here somebody who's putting a question, saying that they're looking for hiring somebody on a marketing position. It's more on the marketing side. Is there any difference to the approach of recruiting for a position like this compared with an engineer? So if you're recruiting a marketing position versus an engineer, what differences do you see in the recruitment? It's a question that we have from the audience.
Yeah, it's a good question, and there's a lot of difference because somebody whose focus is marketing has a different area of expertise, of course, than the engineer, but also a different feel of what is their ambition. So when somebody is a highly skilled engineer, they usually are engaged with a technical challenge and personal development and those kind of stuff. And when somebody is on marketing, they have a whole different approach to the job. So they want to be online, they want to talk to a lot of people, they want to spend the budgets as wisely as they can, where the engineer just want to design maybe one little part of a machine and make that the ultimate design. So yeah, the approach should be different. Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that we also notice is that, we want to work with people who are passionate, and indeed people who are photonics people, they will be passionate about that. And so that's one of the reasons to join for EPIC in our hiring. For sure. I think I have one last question for you, René. Maybe you will have some final words, but why are you a member of EPIC? For me, that means it's a commitment to this sector. For those who are watching this, you have to pay to become a member. You have to engage with the organization. So why are you a member of EPIC? Why is Orion a member of EPIC?
Several reasons. First of all, we really believe that photonics has a big future. So that is the main reason. The second reason is that we want to expand our knowledge and network. And EPIC was a perfect field for us. And the third reason is what you just mentioned, the passion. So the passion for the job, the passion for photonics, the passion you have for EPIC, Carlos. These are the things that made us join EPIC.
I agree with you that photonics is a very much growing sector. I'll compare it to something completely different, but we have analyzed the growth of the public listed photonics companies, 70 public listed companies. And the normal growth is over the last 5 years, year after, it has been a 25% growth. So if you had invested in the stock of these companies, it would have grown 25%. But I can just I just hear from all of our companies continuously growing. And since you're based in the Netherlands is probably the fourth country where we have most members, more photonics activity. Obviously, you have some big players in the Netherlands, and because of those big players, you have a lot of medium-sized companies. You have a very, very dynamic ecosystem, semiconductor, optics, photonics related. So I'm really appreciative that you're committing to support this sector. As I said, I believe that recruiting the best people is very important for our companies, for their competitiveness, and to know that there are companies who care about this sector, and to have a specific person. How many employees do you have directly?
Around 350 now.
350, you know. And so what we like when a company is member of Epic is that, well, you know, I contact Orhan, who is the guy, and now everybody knows that René is the person who cares about photonics. They can put a face and they know who to contact. So anybody in the Benelux who cares about these positions is very welcome to contact you. Okay. So I very much enjoyed the discussion. I don't know if you have any final words that you would like to share before we close.
I just wish everybody the best. Make sure that for your recruitment process that you think about it. You know, that's the only summary I want to give. Just think about it, and there are if you do that, you will find some easy ways to improve for sure with the tips you have today.
Those are very good final words, and indeed this video recording will be available on YouTube, so anybody who sees it, and I recommend you share it with anybody who is recruiting. And I think it's a nice summary. Take it seriously. Okay, well, thank you all, everybody. Have a nice end of day. Thank you, Andrew, for some people is putting in the comments over here, but thank you very much. For those who are in the same time zone as me, it's the end of my day, so have a nice afternoon, have a nice evening. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Bye.